At the beginning of it all, the Garden of Eden was a place of absolute perfection. Adam and Eve lived in harmony with God, nature and each other. Created directly by the Creator, they were the representation of the divine connection with humanity. But there was only one rule. You shall not eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for in the day that you eat of it you will surely die. A curious detail is that, for Adam and Eve, dying was a mysterious concept. How to understand something they had never experienced. This threat hung like a shadow over paradise. And it is at this point that the story takes an intriguing turn. After all, disobedience would have a devastating consequence. But what would be the true nature of this death? And, most importantly, who would face her first? Everything changed the moment Eve gave into the temptation of the serpent, and Adam followed her. The act of eating the forbidden fruit brought immediate consequences: shame, guilt, and the loss of innocence. From that moment on, mortality stopped being a distant threat and became a reality for humanity. But one detail deserves attention. This did not come immediately. Adam and Eve remained physically alive, but something changed within them. They were separated from God, which many interpret as spiritual death. This separation was the beginning of a life of suffering and the countdown to return to the dust. Now, the big question arises: who succumbed first? The chronology is unclear, but the impact of this act reverberated throughout humanity. And it's just the tip of the iceberg of a much bigger mystery. With the fall, Adam and Eve were expelled from Eden, and the tree of life became inaccessible. This tree was the source of immortality, and to eternity, human destiny was sealed: physical death. This loss was not just an individual event, but the beginning of a cycle that would repeat itself in all future generations. The most interesting thing is that this mortality did not manifest itself immediately in Adam or Eve, but in another tragedy: the death of Abel. Before that, they lived long years facing the harsh reality outside of Eden. The land did not produce easily, and the initial harmony was replaced by effort and struggle. But there is still an answer missing. Who faced this first, Adam or Eve? Let's continue exploring this question. The word death for Adam and Eve took on multiple meanings after the fall. They did not die instantly upon eating the fruit, but they experienced a spiritual death, separation from God. This type of death was immediate and profound. However, God also announced that physical death would be inevitable. From dust you came and to dust you will return. This introduced a new element into their lifetime. Each day that passed brought them closer to that final destination. However, the concept of death goes beyond the biological. For Adam and Eve, it also meant living without the presence of God, facing pain and struggles they had never known before. So who did it first? To answer, we need to look more closely at their lives and the clues left in the text. Before Adam or Eve faced physical death, they experienced something even more devastating: the death of a child. Abel was murdered by his brother Cain, and this tragedy brought the reality of death in a brutal and unexpected way to the first family of humanity. Imagine the emotional impact for Adam and Eve. They were the first humans, witnessing the first physical death in its cruelest form. What was once just a divine threat became a palpable pain, a weight they could never feel. Abel's death raised a crucial question: what does it really mean to be mortal? Abel was the first to die physically, but that doesn't answer the main question. Adam and Eve, the parents of humanity, still awaited their destiny. Who faced the return to dust first? Stay with us as we unravel this mystery. When Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden, their lives changed radically. Before, everything was abundance and harmony. Now, they faced a hostile world. The land needed to be worked hard, and Eve's labor pains symbolized the weight of her choices. Each day was a reminder of the mortality they had brought into the world. Despite this, life went on, They had children and so humanity began to form. But there was something indescribable. Time didn't stop, and aging brought clear signals that the return to dust was inevitable. How did they deal with this question? Biblical texts do not detail the last days of Adam and Eve, but we can imagine that both reflected deeply on their choices and their impacts. As the years passed, a question arose: who would live first? Would time be kinder to Adam or Eve? One of the most intriguing questions is, does the Bible give any direct clues as to who did first, Adam or Eve? Genesis reports that Adam lived to be 930 years old. However, the text does not mention the exact length of Eve's life, leaving room for interpretation and debate. This gap leads us to an interesting reflection. Eve, as the mother of all human beings, played a crucial role in the early history of humanity. Could it be that this was more discreet to focus on the genealogical line that passes through Adam? Or does this mean she lived longer, surpassing her husband in longevity? Although there is no explicit answer, the chronology points to a mystery that continues to fulfill this. To better understand, we need to explore not only the biblical text, but also the traditions that surround this narrative. Time plays a central role in the story of Adam and Eve. In the Bible, time is not only measured in years, but also in symbolic events that shape the human journey. When God announced that they would both die, this sentence did not come immediately. It was as if this was an inevitable consequence, but the length of their lives served to show divine grace and patience. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, Adam's longevity, 930 years, symbolizes the impact of the original creation. Adam was the first man, and his long life reflects God's initial plan for humanity. But what about Eve? Did your life have a different symbolism? Perhaps her role as mother of all living carries more emotional and symbolic weight than the length of her years. This analysis leads us to ask, what really matters in the Adam and Eve narrative? The answer is not just in the when, but in the why. To look for more clues about the fate of Adam and Eve, we need to look beyond the Bible. There are apocryphal texts, writings that are not part of the official biblical canon, that provide fascinating accounts of the life and death of the first couple. One example is the Book of Adam and Eve, an apocryphal work that describes Adam's last moments. According to this text, Adam would have asked Eve and her children to pray to the Lord while he faced his death. Eva, in tears, mourns the loss of her companion, saying that he would have left first. However, these texts are not considered part of official doctrine and often carry symbolic interpretations. Still, they offer us glimpses of how people throughout history have tried to answer this riddle. To better understand the death of Adam and Eve, it is essential to understand how ancient cultures viewed life and death. In ancient times, death was not only seen as a physical end, but as a transition to another existence. This concept shaped how early humans understood the impact of their actions in Eden. Adam and Eve not only faced physical death, but they also bore the responsibility of bringing mortality to all humanity. In ancient cultures, this was seen as a portal, a way to return to the divine or face eternal consequences. In this context, the question of who did first takes on a deeper meaning. Perhaps it doesn't matter so much who did first, but how their lives and choices echoed through time, influencing all generations that came after. The story of Adam and Eve goes beyond the fall and mortality. It carries powerful symbolism about the purpose of life and how death can shape that purpose. After being expelled from Eden, the first couple faced challenges never imagined: the harshness of the work, the pain of raising children in an imperfect world, and, above all, the loss of their direct connection with God. But, in the midst of this, Adam and Eve also played a fundamental role, establishing the foundation of humanity. They planted the seeds of the first families, passing on values, teachings and stories that would shape entire civilizations. Death, in this context, was not just an end, but a transition that gave meaning to the legacy they would leave. This reflection leads us to understand that, although the mystery of who did first is fascinating, perhaps the greatest lesson from Adam and Eve lies in the way they lived their lives after Eden. Although the Bible is unclear about who did first, some theories suggest that Eve could have gone before Adam. One of the reasons is the lack of details about Eve's life after the birth of Eve's children and Abel's death. While Adam's longevity is recorded, Eve disappears from the narrative, leading scholars to speculate that she could have died earlier. Another theory is based on the cultural and patriarchal interpretation of the time in which the texts were written. Some believe that Eve's death could have been less highlighted due to a greater focus on Adam as the central figure in the genealogy. But this is not the only possibility. Authors argue that Eve, as mother of all living, had a special and lasting role, living to an advanced age, perhaps even longer than Adam. These theories, while intriguing, leave an important question. Was Eve's death more symbolic than chronological? The story of Adam and Eve transcends the biblical text. Many ancient cultures share similar myths and narratives about early humans and mortality. In Mesopotamia, for example, the epic of Gilgamesh addresses the search for immortality and the inevitability of death. These stories reflect a common theme: the human struggle against time and the desire to understand the cycle of life and death. Although there is no direct archaeological evidence about Adam and Eve, these narratives help to contextualize the symbolic importance of their deaths. Adam and Eve represent something bigger than just historical people. They symbolize the human condition, our longing for answers, our struggle with finitude, and our search for purpose in the midst of mortality. Regardless of who did first, the story of Adam and Eve holds valuable lessons about life, mortality, and purpose. She reminds us that we all face downfalls and challenges, but that it is possible to move forward and live a meaningful legacy. The experience of Adam and Eve invites us to reflect on our own lives. What are we doing with the time we have? How are we facing the consequences of our choices? And, most importantly, what will be the impact we will leave for future generations? These questions make the mystery about Adam and Eve even more relevant. It's not just about finding out who did first, but about understanding what the story can teach about our existence and our relationship with the divine. We come to the question that motivated this entire journey. Who was the first to die, Adam or Eve? The answer, however, may be more complex than we imagine. If we consider physical death, the Bible leaves us without a direct answer about Eve. Adam, on the other hand, is described as living to be 930 years old, suggesting that Eve may have left earlier. But what if spiritual death is the real? In this case, Adam and Eve died together at the exact moment they disobeyed God. It was there that divine separation began and mortality became part of the human experience. Perhaps the definitive answer lies not in who did first, but in the impact their lives and choices had on humanity. The most important thing is not how the story ends, but how it continues to experience to life with purpose and meaning. When Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden, they began a journey that was not only physical, but also spiritual and emotional. Mortality was a reality they would have to deal with. But what happened after their deaths is a mystery that intrigues scholars, theologians, and philosophers to this day. The Bible, despite not detailing that soul plus post-death fate, suggests that humanity continues to bear the marks of their choices. But where did Adam and Eve go? They returned to dust, as God had decreed. But what about their souls? There are those who believe that, even in the midst of the fall, divine grace opened up the possibility of redemption, an idea that resonates in several religious traditions. Adam and Eve are not just characters from an ancient story. They are universal archetypes that represent the human condition. Your actions in Eden were the starting point for a collective journey, where each of us carries the weight of choices and the search for redemption. As much as their deaths are a chronological mystery, their lives teach us profound lessons. Adam symbolizes responsibility, the one who should take care of creation, but succumbed. It represents the desire for knowledge and the courage to explore the unknown, even in the face of risk. Both are portraits of human complexity. Even millennia later, the story of Adam and Eve resonates in our society. The idea that choices have eternal consequences is still present in how we live our lives. Science seeks to understand our biological origins, while religion reflects on our spiritual origins. Adam and Eve, in this context, become points of convergence between these two perspectives. What's more, which story remains is that, even after an irreversible mistake, there is a path forward. Humanity was not trapped in Eden. She continued, built civilizations and sought ways to reconnect with the divine. If there is anything fascinating about the story of Adam and Eve, it's its ability to remain open to interpretation. Who did first may be a technicality, but what really matters is how their narrative shapes our view of life, death, and purpose. Adam and Eve left Eden, but they never left our imagination. Their steps reverberate in our own stories, reminding us that every choice carries weight and that every life has an impact. And now I ask you, what can we learn from humanity's first couple? Do their deaths matter as much as the legacy they leave? And so we conclude this intriguing journey through the mystery of who did first, Adam or Eve. More than a simple curiosity, this story leads us to reflect on our own lives, choices and legacies. If you liked this content and want to continue exploring mysteries as fascinating as this, don't forget to leave you a like. This helps us bring you even more amazing content. Share this video with your friends and family who love to delve into stories full of meaning and historical enigmas. Who knows, they might also be surprised by what we learned here. And don't leave without checking out the other videos on the channel. We have a special selection of intriguing themes that will hold your attention from start to finish. Click now and discover the next mystery we have prepared for you. See you there.